deal with this market structure, and these are some of the key words, and a lot of you will want to do this because you can find out it's iPhone market perfect competition, for example. Okay, or is this monopolistic competition? Or is this going to be something known as oligopoly market? Or is this going to be something known as monopoly? Okay, so we'll deal with this in this chapter 4. And then monopolistic, this probably is the next chapter. This well, actually I'm not sure because this is 5, yeah. Something is not quite right. 5, 6, 7, and 7. So the word perfect competition tells you that the market is perfect. We know that there's no such thing as perfect. You can only strive to be perfect. But a lot of time you fall short. So it's a market. So basically, there are some features that we'll deal with for each market structure. So you will need to know these features back and forth because that's the kind of question we'll ask you, And when you do your paper, bear in mind that when you type in perfect competition, when you do your search, you see thousands and thousands of articles. So you have to be a little bit more precise. Like I say, some people want to do, Microsoft. Microsoft is considered more or less a monopoly because they capture about, more than 90% of the operating system market now. Okay, well, going back to what we've studied, this is very much in the vein of microeconomics, that is buyers and sellers' behavior. We talk about marginal cost, marginal benefit. So as a buyer or as a consumer, you're saying right here in this class, you say, should I buy another unit? Should I take another unit of this particular course, known as ECN 2020? And again, you will practice. Everybody should know cost-benefit principle. So this is a good one to do your paper on, cost-benefit principle, but then remember that's just a keyword. You have to apply it to particular industry you're interested in. It might be cycling, recycling. At this point, I would appreciate if you put away all your cell phone, and thank you very much. Don't leave it on the table, because if I see it, it's mine to keep for I'll rent it for the entire class time. Okay, so if your marginal benefit is higher than marginal cost, go ahead and buy another unit. How about when you're a seller? Should I sell another unit? So again, if the marginal benefit from the seller's viewpoint, think of you as like your Walmart, McDonald's. So you care about your revenue. So your marginal benefit, which is really also your marginal benefit from seller viewpoint. So that is, if your marginal benefit or marginal revenue of receiving the product sold is more than or greater than your marginal cost of making it or producing it. So we talked about low-hanging fruit principles. Anybody remember that?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Remember my example. So one of the key features of this low-hanging fruit principle is you stretch out your hand, you pluck all these apples, as close as you could get to. These are called low-hanging fruit. In other words, you use the resources that are easily available first. And then when you exhaust these resources, then you go up, look higher on the tree. These are harder to find resources. So basically, we say that because of that, your marginal cost is more or less like that. The price of output must go up in order to compensate for using harder to find resources. The marginal cost of producing certain things keep going up and up. And that doesn't surprise you because your supply curve is, what's the shape of your supply curve? Upward sloping and not downward sloping. Well, remember your supply curve is, why anybody remember that? So as as the price goes up, you supply more and more units. Because why? You have the incentive to do so. If somebody say, you know, you could sell the pizza for $5 a slice instead of like $2.50 a slice, you say, oh yeah, then I will sell more. I will make more pizza because that seems like a good deal. Costs tend to rise when producers expand production in the short run, so that's the spirit of your supply curve there. And then we want to look at the market supply curve. Now remember last week, we looked at market demand curve, right? The market demand curve had this feature. Anybody remember? We have a special name for it. WK. The shape of the market demand curve. You add up Jones and Smith. You have a kink demand curve. Remember a kink, like that, right? So that's just a reminder. Now, the same thing in market supply curve. First of all, you look at a price, you say, given that price, how much should I supply? Or how much should I be producing? So again, you have the same features like that. This is a case of recycling service. What are they recycling? Okay, aluminum cans, right. So there are two brothers, or we could say identical twins, Barry and Harry. Yeah, interesting names, yeah. So this is their supply curve. So what it is they say to themselves, they say, if it is only 1 cent per can, I would pick 600. Okay, so that's how you got that. The market supply curve will be at $1. You add 6 and 6, so that's 12, which is 1,200. Everybody remember how to do that? This is called horizontal summation of supply curve. Given the price, what is the quantity supplied? You add it up. And then as the price goes up, look what happened if it is 3 cents per can. Is that better? Yep. Then he's going to supply 1,500. And 1,500, so that 3 given that. See, this last one is a market supply curve. This two are individual supply curve. Assuming the market only consists of the two brothers for this recycling, you know, economics try to make it simple because in real world it's like, big market out there. So this is a market supply curve. Now, some of you cannot imagine how that happens. So let me give an example. Super Bowl, yeah, everybody. I hope everybody's happy with the. I didn't really watch it. I just watched the halftime. Lady Gaga, you know, that was the thing that I watched on YouTube. I didn't have TV at home, so anyway. So now, if you think about Super Bowl, right? Let's just say that the fans don't care. They're just going to drink or whatever. They're just going to toss the aluminum cans all over the place. At the end of the game, can you imagine that stadium sits so many people, right? And poor Barry and Harry, they'll be going around picking up cans. Hopefully they have more than maybe like 10 times Barry and Harry's supply. So they'll be going around picking all the cans, and then at the beginning it's easy because they keep picking up, say, oh yeah, there's so much. And after about maybe 2-3 hours of work, they don't find any more. They say, oh yeah, we got all of them, I thought. And then they say, well, maybe we look harder outside the stadium to see even more. At the parking lot, so they have to go out of their way to harder to find resources, you know, further away. So then they say, well, at that point, they would expect the price to be higher. And indeed, people who hire them to do the work want to clean up the whole stadium and say, well, we'll pay you a little bit more. You also look at outside the stadium, the compound outside the stadium, as well as in the parking lot. So that makes sense because it gets harder and harder, and then you expect higher and higher prices. So next I want to do a definition about what is profit. How many of you know what profit means?
What you get out of something?
Well, that's what you think. Okay, that's your own word. Okay, you get out of something, but what is that something? It's profit good?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a smiling face, right? Now, do you want to go for a positive profit or you want to go for a negative? Definitely positive, because a negative profit means a loss, right? So in order to define profit, I want to make sure you know that profit is not the same as revenue. Okay, that's the first thing I want to stress. Now, revenue is like sales manager, like people like working in Best Buy. What do they care? They care about selling as many PC as possible. So they care about the volume, the number, which is your revenue is basically P times Q. Everybody remember that? Unit price times quantity. But not your profit. Your profit is basically your total cost minus, your total revenue minus your total cost. So you see, it's different. This one is your revenue, which is P times Q, and this is total cost. So you could do like that, P times Q, that's your profit. Your total revenue is P times Q. Your total cost is average total cost times, remember to put in bracket, quantity. Everybody see what I'm doing? And mathematically speaking, you do the multiplication first before you do the subtraction. Now that's what is in parentheses. You could collect the terms, mathematically speaking, P minus ATC, and then your Q will be at the end. This is basic algebra. So your P minus ATC has a word for it, we call it unit profit. So your total profit will be your unit profit times quantity to get profit. But the main thing that you need to know is this right here, total revenue minus total cost. So as a result of that, you see that it's not the same. So your revenue will be like I say, your Best Buy manager care about revenue, selling as many units of PC as possible, so because they go for volume. But if you're owner of a business, like if you're owner of Best Buy, what do you care for? You care for more the profit. Are you making profit? So that means he has to be concerned about the cost as well, not just the revenue. Yeah, you're selling volume, that's great. But look, we have to open like 24 hours and there's gas bill, electricity bill to be paid. And so, oh boy, total cost exceed total revenue. So that's no good. So as a owner of the firm, your goal is to maximize profit. But typically, a manager, like if you take marketing classes, they'll tell you, yeah, you want to maximize your sales. But that's not the profit, because it's different. So everybody see that? In the case of profit, you take into account the total cost. Okay, so in the case of perfect competition, that's what this is saying. This is a market in which no individual supplier or seller has significant influence on the market price of the product. And that's very, very important. I'm sure we'll ask you this question back and forth on your test. Now, that really does not quite define an individual firm in the perfect competition. What all that is saying, this is one of the key or major features if you're in perfect competition. Now, the reason that we use the term perfect to describe the market is because it is considered a benchmark. Does everybody understand when I use the word benchmark? What is a benchmark?
Something you compare yourself to.
Yeah, like a standards you look up to, and so your perfect competition is like a benchmark market. You could write this down if you want to. Your PC, okay, and please, PC does not stand for personal computer perfect competition. That's the meaning of using it. It is your benchmark market, because it's perfect. Why don't I go ahead and spell it out? Because when you look at your notes, you won't understand what it is. Okay, so what are some of the features of perfect competition? For example, we say that you are a price taker. So I'm going to write down the features of a PC. Question? What's the question? No? Okay. So the question is, a firm is a price taker. price taker means you take the price as given. Okay, and you do not have an influence on setting the price. Unlike monopoly, who sets all the prices of the software you buy from Microsoft? Microsoft does. They're not gonna say, okay, Michael, you set the price. Whatever price you choose, we charge you. And you might say 25 cents. Make them mad, say, oh, it's worth much more than 25 cents. Okay, next, we say that you could sell as many as you want. So therefore, if you have your book, let's turn to that page where you see a graph. I want you to pay attention to that graph. I think I'm seeing it, where is it? Yeah, on page, everybody see this page where you have two graphs? Okay, that one deleted? Okay, thank you. Every time you say the page number, you're referring to that small print, right? Not the big one, correct?
They're the same on ours.
I'm sorry?
I
They're the
didn't
same?
even notice
Yeah.
they had to, but yes, I'm looking up here, but they're the same.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
I never noticed that.
Thank you for pointing that out. I didn't know that too.
Oh, they changing the back.
Because mine is not the same. Like I say, I got the black and white version. Mine was the first one, and then
So
they
you
made
always
some
want the
changes.
small one.
Okay, so that diagram on page 133 is very important. Everybody look at it. It used to be when I had the test, like midterm exam, that's the short question I asked. I say, please show me what does a perfectly competitive firm demand curve looks like. That's it. All that I'm asking for is that graph on the right hand side, which looks kind of like this.
Okay.
How do you describe this line? Straight, I know it's straight. What else?
Any last?
Horizontal? Yes, Andy?
Infinite?
Okay, very good. And on perfectly elastic. And this is the demand curve, everybody. Write this down, very important. So instead of downward sloping demand curve, you have a horizontal perfectly elastic demand curve, and very good. Andy mentioned this is infinite. It goes to infinity. And this is also your marginal revenue. This is also your price. So you set the price at, say, $20 because you're a price taker. What else? So that's what it means. Infinity, infinite. You can sell as much output as you wish at that given price, and you sell only a fraction of the market output. Whoa, what does that mean? Yes.
Well, I wasn't answering that question. I had a question.
Oh, you already answered it.
No, I had another question.
Okay, what's your question? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, can you give an example of like how?
Yeah, yes, coming up. That was what I was going to say, Nick. So, now, something like a produced market, like how many of you are aware of what's called commodity market? What do you sell in a commodity market? All the produced stuff like wheat, rice. You heard about it? Aluminum. These are all more like minerals now. Iron, things like that. They're more or less set at a certain price, at the market price. Now you could think about it more like a produced market in the summertime. You see people are selling sweet potato. More or less the price are the same. You can't sell a price that's like drastically different. Because everybody produces the same stuff, So it sells only the fraction of the market output. In other words, you are a small producer. So please write this down. This is a demand curve for individual firm under PC, which is perfect competition. Now, if you look at the market demand and supply curve, which is the graph on the left-hand side, remember there were two. This is your typical demand and supply curve that you're very familiar with. So, this is the one that we want to focus on. Now, one other thing. The reason that you are a price taker because you are a very small, you represent a very small percentage of the whole industry. So what, you're producing sweet potato in your garden, which you have 5 acres or lot. There are a lot of people out there also producing this sweet potato. You're not the only one. So all the stuff, all the sweet potato that you produce whole summer is only like a drop of water in a big bucket of water. So you are a small player. You're at the mercy of the market to set the price. You're not the price setter. You're a price taker. Okay, I could stretch this definition a little bit further and say no influence over the price because you're just a small player. And this is very important because you're a small player, you take the price as given. If it is $20 per gallon or whatever you're producing, so be it. Now, it turns out that the whole chapter you could just talk about that graph because everything is there. Now, so this is what it looks like, everybody. If you don't have your book, this is what page 133 that I'm looking at. So again, like I say, if I were to do paper copy of the exam, my midterm exam, you can count on it. I'll ask you this graph, for this graph. I say, what does a perfectly competitive individual firm or demand curve looks like? Show me the graph. And that's simple enough because, but I tell you, students will give all kinds of graph. They'll give this kind, they'll give downward sloping, upward sloping. All that I'm looking for is that straight line. That's your demand curve. Okay, more assumption that will strengthen what we had talked about a little bit. All the firms sell the same standardized product. Remember a while ago I used the term commodity market. A wheat is a wheat, rice is rice. Well, okay, you have all different variety. But among the same variety of rice, this is all the producers are out there making it, all the farmers. Now, you hear the term, they're standardized product, or they're identical, or they're homogeneous products. Another good example of homogeneous product is like CD. If you go out to Walmart, you buy a pack of CD. Well, I'm not talking about music CD, I'm talking about this kind of, the empty one, the blank one. So it doesn't matter if you buy from this company, that company, it's all the same. They're homogeneous, they're identical. Okay, the market has many buyers and sellers, right? Now this is important because the market has many buyers, we know that, but many sellers, so that represents that one little drop of water in the whole bucket of water. Because each one of you sell only a small fraction of total quantity exchange. You're at the mercy of the market to set the price. You don't have the power to set the price. And let me say this to you, come back to this. If you were to raise the price, say by 20 cents or 50 cents, and you could do it if you want to do it. But the minute you do it, people would say, abandon you. Your consumers, your customer would say, forget it, I'll go to the neighbor. Your neighbor sells it at the market price, which is low. So you see, you don't have incentive to raise the price because you are at the mercy of the market. As far as setting price is concerned. I mean, you could in the short run, but then you realize it, then you go back to the market price. Because the more that consumers expect that price. So if you try to raise it, they are education right here. Buyers and sellers are well informed. The word well informed means you're aware of the price. You could go on internet and check the price. If somebody were to charge you, say, $2,000 for a round trip ticket to San Francisco, what's your reaction? Say, oh yeah, sure. No, you know that it's not going to cost that much because you're not going to France. You're not going to Paris. Even going to Paris, France doesn't cost that much. Like $898 because I checked. So consumers know something. Don't fool them. They are considered well informed as far as the prices are concerned. Productive resources are mobile. Wow, that's an important one. What does that mean? It is so easy to set up the business. And then if you're not doing well, you just kind of like fold up your business and then do something else. So in other words, you could move resources quite easily. You could enter and exit the market quickly and easily when you're making a loss. Likewise, if the whole industry is making profit and other people who want to enter the market to get a piece of your profit pie, there's such a thing called envy, right? Jealousy. And look at you and say, oh yeah, you're doing 35% increase in profit every year, and it's such a lucrative business, deal you're in, maybe in the computing industry, They want to jump in. So we'll talk about that later. I want to give you a whole bunch of definition. Okay, the first one is factors of production. Now you have come across that when we were in chapter 3. We talk about factors of production being, the input raw materials, for example. So first you have input, and then you go into producing something, and you come out, it's your output, or input to this. So factor of production is the input used in production of good or service, and typically we say we have two. We have capital and labor. Okay, K stands for capital, L stands for labor. What is capital? If you were to make pizza, what does it take? What do you need to have in your pizza store, at the very least?
Tomato sauce.
Huh?
Tomato sauce.
Oh, you're talking about all the ingredients. Yeah, that. But before you even have that, you gotta have something. What is a capital?
You have to have
Oh, the
machines.
building. My bad, the building. I know.
Oh yeah, you gotta have building to cook. Yeah,
That's
but
one of the-
what else?
Equipment?
What is a capital? Equipment. Okay, be more
Labor.
specific. What do you need? An oven. Yes.
That's someone.
You can't walk into a pizza store and say, "Yeah, produce a pizza." How? At least, right? If you buy or sell, you gotta have that oven. So I'm looking at the. So capital will be example oven. Labor will be you. You buy yourself. And then Super Bowl weekend comes and you say, oh my, I need to hire 10 more people to help me. Because everybody ordered pizza. Okay, so that's a factor of production, the inputs that you put in, we have example labor. And then we want to define two concepts here, very important, short run and long run. And economic short run and long run defined as not so much about the period of time. Like you don't hear about people say, in the long run it means 10 years. In the short run it means 5 months. In economics we do not define short run and long run that way, but we define it in terms of the how mobile or how variable your factors of productions are. So for example, short run is a period of time that short enough that at least some of the firm's factor of productions are fixed. For example, well, again, Super Bowl weekend. So we realize that you need to make 200 pizza and you only have 2 workers. That's not sufficient. You and the workers that you hire. And you only have 1 oven. So now there's something you could do though. In the short run, you say, I could go out and hire 5 more. I could get my buddy to come in, I could get my relatives to come in and help out. So in other words, labors are more mobile. You could get them to come and help you quickly. But there's no way you could go out and buy 2 more ovens in the short run. Agree? Because that takes more time. That takes looking up the ad, maybe, and it's not like it costs 10 cents. Because it costs a lot to buy this thing. You might want to buy it used, so it takes more time. So in other words, in the short run, we basically say capital is fixed. There's a fixed factor and usually is the capital. And that's what it means, okay? At least some of the firm's factor of production are fixed. And a good example would be your capital. Now, in the long run, is a period of time sufficiently long enough that all the firm's factor of production are variable. Now, a while ago, we say short run, the labor is considered variable. Variable means, again, I described it a while ago, that you could go out and find more easily because it's easier to hire labor rather than to hire, find more machines because that takes time. Now, in the long run, everything, both K and L, are variable. Okay, because, hey, in the long run, you could buy another oven after checking around and looking for prices to buy a used one, and maybe you go to auction, maybe you look up an ad in the newspaper, so finally you could buy a second oven, but that's going to take time. So again, one more time, economic definition of short run and long run, not according to calendar months of years or days, but according to whether the factors are fixed or variable. Okay, same concept. Next, fixed factor of productions are usually referring to capital,
Capital and labor.
which is right here, in the short run. So this is like a flip way of defining this fixed factor of production. An input in which quantity cannot be changed in the short run. Example would be your oven, or tractor. If you're plotting a land, you can't really have two because it costs, capital is something that costs more. You may have to take out a loan, go through the banking process, applying for loans and all that. So it's not something that overnight you could get someone, but, labor are mobile, you can get them easily. Variable factor of production, an input whose quantity can be altered or changed in the short run. And that's why we use the term variable. Everybody see the difference here? Variable versus fixed factor. So you need to know what that is. How do you apply it in the short run? How do you apply it in the long run? And which factor are we talking about? Is it capital or is it labor? Okay. Next, I would like for you to turn to page 134. And there's a definition there I would like a volunteer to read on the site, law of diminishing returns. Could I get a volunteer very quickly to read, please?
Read which one?
Law of diminishing returns, page 134, on the site.
When some factors of production are held fixed, increased production of the good eventually require ever larger increases in the variable factor.
Okay. Now, I somehow do not like that definition, so I come out with something a little bit simpler. But go ahead and copy that down. Okay, so my definition for a law of diminishing returns is, as the number of units of a variable input increases, a point will be reached at which resulting addition to output decreases. A good example of that would be, for example, you're hiring a farmer. Well, there's a farmer with a tractor. Okay, and this is a plot of land. Let's say this is 10 acres. Now, you see, you could keep putting in more farmer. Let's say you have 10. Oh, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say if you have 10 farmers. Now, for 10 acres of land with 10 farmers, that's getting very crowded, isn't it? Agree? You don't need so many. So what I'm trying to say here is your variable input here is the farmer, a person. So if you keep adding it on to a fixed plot of land, you will get to a point in which finally, if you keep adding the marginal I'm emphasizing the word marginal. The extra input that you put in, it's not going to produce extra output. So that will be your marginal productivity, basically at the end will decline. You see, your total productivity will go up as you add more labor. So as you add more labor, your total productivity goes up, because we're gonna look at examples soon. But then your marginal productivity comes down. Because remember, for this class is very important. This is microeconomics. I defined for you first day of class, I think first or second day, what is marginal cost? It's the difference between the total cost. So what this is saying is, yes, your productivity could go up, but then the marginal productivity as you add more worker actually will decline. And if you look at that, this example here, it makes sense. Because look what happened if you keep clouding in, let's say 100 farmers. Boy, it's only 10 acres of land. You cloud in 100 farmers, they're gonna bump into each other. You know, they're gonna get mad at each other. So the marginal productivity, as you add more, it's not going to go up, but it would actually decline. Even though you think the total productivity might go up. So this is a situation, and this is very important. You see that 5 star? In fact, there are 10 there. This is a very basic economic concept, the law of diminishing returns there. When the labor input is small, marginal productivity, MP stands for marginal productivity, increases due to specialization. At the beginning, we only have one farmer and one tractor. So he said to himself, I specialize. Yeah, because you're by yourself. But when you keep increasing more, putting more farmers in that fixed plot of land, the marginal productivity decreases due to inefficiency. They start to bump into each other. So that's the problem. Now, look at this page here that Kamal, right? Mr. Parker read earlier. Now, there's a paragraph that you should read it sometime too. It talks about crowding factor. And that's what it is, a congestion factor. And this is important, this concept. And when you get congested, congestion factor, or we could use the word clouding. That's when your marginal productivity comes down. What's the point of having 10 students in a dormitory and say, oh, you're all trying to study all together? No, you won't. You will be chit-chatting, you will be having whatever, you might end up watching football instead of studying, so your marginal productivity actually comes down. Instead of like, oh yeah, I really want to study. Maybe with another person helps, but then with 10 other people clouding in your room, it's not gonna help. I'm gonna skip this slide because I showed you this earlier. Well, actually, not quite. You saw this. This is what I wrote down earlier on the board. Now, total cost consists of 2 types of costs. That one you need to write down. So go ahead and write this first line. Total cost consists of 2 kinds of costs. The first one is the fixed cost. Second one is the variable cost. Now, you could almost imagine that the fixed cost usually refers to the capital. The variable cost usually referring to more workers that you hire. Next, in order to be profitable, now remember we got to this point earlier, what I wrote on the board. I say P minus ATC, I give it a name. Look it up, tell me what it is. What is P minus ATC?
Unit profit.
Very good. Everybody got that? It's a unit profit. So what it is saying that in order to be profitable, your price has to be greater than ATC. Because if your price is greater than ATC, you are having positive profit. So a while ago I say what is profit? What of your answer? So this is good. But if it is less, what do we call this?
Loss.
Negative profit, or very good. The word loss, and you have a set phase. what if it is P equals to ATC?
Balance.
Balance is good, we have a word we use, break. What?
Even, break point, break even.
Break even, very good.
I know that.
You're neutral. In economics, that means you're at the freezing point. If someone point a gun at you, you freeze. What does that mean? Freeze means you freeze. You don't dare to jump up or squat down. You don't dare to turn to the right or to the left. You just basically freeze. You're not at the point of making any decision. But then if you're at the next move here, if you're right here, you say, oh yeah, all right, let's invest more, you know. And you're right here, you might say, all right, maybe we should fold the business and get out of it. But if you're right here, you do nothing. That's the economic definition. You do nothing. You do not make the next move because you don't know. You're at the point of freezing. So we call it break-even point. Okay, let's look at this example very quickly. We have about, and at this point, I would like for you to refer to your book because you're going to turn back and forth. See all this table on page 135, so let's refer to that. So this is a situation that we're producing, let's see, what are we producing? Bottles, okay, we are producing bottles. So bottles are considered your output, not input. What are the input? Labor, in this example. So in the first column, you see that how many employees you will hire. So we have this column, everybody, so 0 all the way to 22. In other words, you keep adding more and more employees. So of course, if you keep adding more, they will produce more bottles. So look at this, this is keep going up, right? If you add more workers, your output will go up. Not proportionately, very interesting. 100, 200, 300, so anyway, that's a number given to you. I'm not asking you to calculate. These are the numbers that are given to you. Just have to be sure you understand. Because your homework problem will ask you to solve exactly the same kind of problem. So I'm kind of like giving you a preview now. Now the next column is known as total revenue. So somebody tell me what is total revenue. Let's do a quick review. Total revenue is, well, I'm looking for two variables.
P plus Q.
Very good, thank you. Okay? So your total revenue here is P times Q. So we gave you the price. Okay, here are the assumption that's given to you. See in red? The bottle sells for $35 per 100. So in other words, your total revenue will be you take the price times the output. Since it is per 100, so this is like 1. 35 times 1, you get 35. How do you get 70 next? Because that would be $35 times 2. You get 70. Because for every 100, and this is every 100, so it's the same as saying, oh, $35 times 2, so 35 times 3, 105. Everybody okay with that? Because we're talking about $35 per 100. Okay, make sure you understand that. So everybody could get that. So this third column is to be computed, usually by you. First two are given. Now, the total labor is also given to you. Well, I say given to you because look at the next assumption here. If the employee wages is $10 per hour, okay, so we get 10 because there's only one worker. We get 20 because there are 2 now. Okay, everybody got it? 10 times 2. How do we get 220?
22 employees times
22 employees times $10 per employee per hour. So then you got that. So now that's called total labor. If you want to write down in your book to help you understand, this is your variable cost. Go ahead and write it in your column if you want. So again, your total cost consists of fixed cost, or FC, plus variable cost. And that is your variable cost that we just talked about, column 4. Okay, because that's the one that if you keep hiring more workers, you're going to have higher and higher costs. So this is your variable cost. Now, how do we get total cost? Total cost consists of fixed cost plus variable cost. So that's the next thing that we give you, assuming that fixed cost is $40 per day. So in other words, you would take 40, add 0 to get that number. Everybody see that? A total cost is your fixed cost, which is fixed throughout, no matter how many you produce. They're all 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, because it's $40 per day. So this could be maybe renting the factory, or what have you, for the day. So, but anyway, the point is, it does not change. Everybody got it? Your fixed cost does not change according to the number of units you produce. Write that down. That is so important. But your variable cost does. So now if you add the fixed cost, which is 40, to all this row of variable cost to get that second last column. Okay, let me ask one of you, how do we get 200? Somebody volunteer, please. Yes, Zach?
60 plus 40.
Okay, $40 add to 160, you get 200. Okay, be sure you understand. So this one you calculate, given that you know that the fixed cost is 40. Now, how do we get that last one? So this will help you with your homework assignment. Your profit is, once again, remind you.
Total revenue minus total cost.
Very good, thank you. PR minus TC. So in other words, your total revenue column will be this column. Total cost will be this column. So we get that number by taking 0 minus 40 to get negative 40. How do we get the next one? 35 minus 50 to get negative 50. Anybody with me? Okay, how do we get 30 here? Anybody? You will take 70, 140, which is total revenue minus total cost to get 30. So now in your homework problem, this is what I expect to see. I do not want you to tell me what is the magic answer, or the answer is 100. No, you have to lay it out like that, okay, table like that, and show your clear working. Working means you show it like in the form of table, and show me how you got that profit column, the last column. He's gonna miss, because I just got a really important point here. Okay, so the profit here is, so which one would you choose? Which one is the highest? 30, right? It's the highest. Good. 400. Okay, so that's the best. Okay, you're missing a lot, so be sure you catch up and write down all the things. I just explained one example that we're gonna do on the next. So, so be sure you write this down. All right, so next, so we got 30 and we say it's 400. So this is case 1. I'm gonna summarize it in a table form for you. Case 1. So we have, what is that? I don't care about the profit. Let's go for the quantity. Quantity is, so we say 400 because this is the output. Okay? So in case 1, you have 400. Now, we're moving on to the next case now. So we're building on. So if you missed the first example, please try to catch up. So we're changing the variable slowly. Now next, everything is the same, except now we're gonna increase the price. Okay, instead of $35 per 100, now we say $45 per 100. So what is changing? Again, P times Q, so here it is, your total revenue is $45 per 100. 45 times 1, 45 times 2, you got 90. Okay, because your total revenue is price times quantity. Only thing we change here is the price, higher price now. Everybody got it? So you got a different column now, total revenue. Everybody with me? How do you get 315? you take 45 times, no, is that right? P times Q, so 45 times 7, not 22.
Oh.
Yes. Okay, some of you are still, okay. Employee is the input, okay? So the output is P times Q. Your price is 45, your quantity is this column here. Got it? But remember, we do not multiply 700 because it's $45 per 100. So we look at this number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 instead of 100, 200. Everybody got that? Did I just, okay, very good. Now, total labor looks the same because we say the labor input stay put at $10 per hour. So total cost will be the same.
Right.
So total cost, look up there. If you have missed, so this is your chance to catch up. Total cost is fixed cost plus variable cost. This column here is your variable cost because you keep adding labor to it. Variable cost plus $40, that's how you get that. So this is the same. Finally, profit. Somebody tell me, how do we get this?
Total revenue minus total.
Again, total revenue minus total cost. The first one is the same, negative 40. Look at the second one.
-5.
Negative 5. What was it before? Negative 15. So you're doing better now. Look at the next one, 30. Well, the old one was 10. Right? Have your book in front of you, the first table. So you're doing better now. Why? Because the price is higher. As a seller, if the price is higher, you have incentive to sell more. Well, plus, if you look at it, your profit is total revenue minus total cost. If this one goes up, this is stay put, of course your profit's going to be higher, right? Okay, tell me which is the best.
75.
75. Okay, I almost missed. I almost say 70. I'm glad you caught it. 75 is the highest, so look across. 500. Okay, this is case 2. This is price increase from 35 to 45. Okay? Next. So I want you to remember, the number has gone up. You produce more when you increase the price. Next scenario, turn the page if you want in your book. Next page, 136. So this is another scenario here now. So in this scenario, we are going to change the
Prices.
not price,
Employee
wages, very good. The cost of input, right. So for the price, we go back to the first case where it was 35. Okay? So then, so we could compare this with the benchmark case, which is case 1. So now the employee's wages is $12 per hour instead of 10 now. So you would expect your total labor cost to be higher or your variable cost to be higher. So let's look across. This is 12 instead of 10. This is 24 instead of 20. And this is 264 because you take what multiplied by 22?
12.
Very good. You got it. Even though you don't know, you're not sure, well, you could take out your calculator and check it. But that's how you get it. So come back to this. 84 would be you take 7 employee times 12. So that's how you got that. Okay, so we know that total labor cost has gone up, which is your variable cost. Now, the fixed cost is still the same. So now we take 40 plus 12 to get 52. The first one is the same. 40 plus 24 gets 64. Got it? Last one, 40 plus 2, 64. 304. Recalculate everything. For your profit, the last column, you take total revenue minus total cost. So you come up with a new set of numbers again. That's how you do it in your homework. Okay, you need to lay out everything clearly, set it out in the table. That's what I call working. So which is best here?
17.
17 is best. So look across. Whoops, 300. Wow. This is actually decreased. So this is a case that we actually increase the
Wages.
variable cost from 10 to 12. Okay, and this is case 3 here. Now it makes sense. Because if it costs more, overall picture, think about it, if it costs more, the higher workers. Come back to this, your total revenue stays the same, but your total cost goes up. That's not good. That means your total profit, your profit's gonna come down. Indeed so. If it comes down, that means you produce less, 300 compared to 400. So the last case, this is the most interesting case. We're changing nothing but the fixed cost. The fixed cost is now 70 instead of 40, everybody with me? And the rest you go back to the benchmark case, $35 for the price and wages go back to 10. So everything looks the same, like your table one, except for that the second last row, column. How do we get 70? Because 70 plus 0. How do we get 90? 70 plus 20. So you get that. Okay, and then you recalculate profit by taking total revenue minus total cost. Look at all of that. You got lots of negatives there. Which is a bit? Zero. 400. Okay, very important. You do all this number to say this in economics. So this is fixed costs go up from, 40 to 70. I want you to pay attention to this. The output did not change when you change the fixed cost. Whereas in other cases, your output changed. So here is, write this down, this is important. This is not in your book. I summarize it for you. So please write this down. Yes, every single word, this is important. This is summarizing the whole thing. If the price is raised, case 2, from $35 to $45 per hundred, the firm will produce more. So 400 to 500 because it's more profitable, because you raise your total revenue, okay? Next, if your wages or variable cost is raised or increased from $10 per hour to $12 per hour, it costs you more as a producer. So you would actually supply less. And so from 400 down to 300, it costs you more. Remember, one of the determinant of supply curve is shift to the left because the cost of fertilizer has increased. Remember that example you did? Now the last one, if the capital cost, which is the same as saying your fixed cost, is increased from $40 to $70, it does not matter because it does not affect the production. It remains at 400, which is like the first benchmark case. So that's the main thing you learn, that in order to change your production, you have to vary the variable cost or your total revenue, but not changing the fixed cost will not change any of your level of production. Okay, did everybody have a chance to copy it down? Okay, then we go back to the profit maximizing. May I move on to the next slide? It's my last slide before I let you go. Okay, so this one is telling you how do you make that profit maximizing criteria, and then there's a place what we call shutdown. Now, a shutdown condition is where you're not producing profitably, right? So you might as well shut down. Now, earlier we looked at this 3 points. We say, positive profit, negative profit, and break-even point, all that. So I'm gonna write this now. Now, if you're already producing at a loss, the set phase. Now, you could, in essence, minimizing your loss by looking at this criterion. This is total revenue, this is total variable cost. So I'm gonna rewrite this equation. This would be average variable cost times quantity. And that crosses out mathematically. So basically at the end you say, P is less than ABC, or minimum point of ABC. In terms of graph, it looks like that. This is your average variable cost. It looks like a soup bowl, a U shape. And here's your price. If your price is here, right, you're okay, you break even. But if the price is above it, you're okay, because you cover your variable cost. But if your price is below this, no good. You're not covering your average variable cost, and the minimum point means right here at the bottom of the soup bowl. That's why we use the word minimum. So you have to at least cover it, at least above it. So if you're at P equals to ABC, you say that that's your shutdown point. Because that's it, you know, at that point, it's telling you that, watch out, watch out. Next, if your price drop further, close down, go home. Now, if it is above it, oh, we still have chance, you know? Okay, the next class I'll show you how to do the same problem but use the marginal cost approach, which is a little bit faster. Okay, so if you understand that approach for your homework,